Hey folks, this is Fernando doing another video for the Modern Survivalist, and in this case, doing the English version of a video that was requested in my Spanish channel. I do this because I feel that whatever concerns people have in Latin America, that's probably something you folks may gain some insight from as well. Now, there's of course cultural differences. Most of the audience in this channel, American preppers and survivalists and people that are interested in self-defense, will pretty much be aware of their options and what's a good call or not. But maybe in Latin America, it is more expensive. There's a bit less availability in terms of what's in the market, what's legally available, or what's within their financial options. But yet, this is a question I get all the time. Hey, what is the best gun for home defense? What's the best gun so as to keep my family safe at home? And I've covered this numerous times in the channel, as you probably know over the years, one of the more common things. But as always, same questions or different variations, and I think it's worth revisiting. So in this video, I'll try to answer that as best as possible. No mystery whatsoever. Probably you agree with me that if I have to choose just one gun so as to defend myself when someone is breaking in, I don't know how many of them there is, I don't know what I'm facing, you probably are better served with some kind of semi-automatic carbine or rifle, some kind of magazine-fed semi-automatic rifle, something like your AR. In this case, that's a Colt M4 with a 14-inch barrel, a red dot, light, and a sling. Basic setup, lightweight, yet pretty reliable and effective for what it's supposed to do. Now, you may like the AK-47 more. I like the AK as a solid survivalist platform, given how simple it is and how reliable it is. I like the FAL, and if I had to choose specifically for kind of like a homestead in which you have a defendable position, yes, 308s, FAL, SCAR, AR-10, but in general, I think that's the best option. Something that is lightweight, something that is proven, and that will allow you to put down a decent amount of firepower if you ever need it. So, not reinventing anything, just going with what we already know works. Now, there's of course legal restrictions depending on the country in which you are. There's of course financial restrictions. Sometimes it may be that, well, I have my grandpa's shotgun. That's all I have. Is that okay? And sure, yes it is. But if you ask me like one gun so as to defend yourself the best possible way, it's probably going to be something like an AR platform, a semi-automatic, a carbine or rifle. In terms of shotguns, I feel it's over-exaggerated how great a pump action shotgun is. Now, this is something you've seen in numerous videos. Some people are very knowledgeable, people in gun stores, people that sell guns. A lot of them will say, yeah, pump action shotgun, best thing ever. Well, it is super reliable, and with the right ammunition, which is probably going to be something like this, buckshot, yeah, it's pretty damn effective. If you hit someone with this, he's not likely to be a threat anymore because you're getting them with 8-9 rounds of 9mm, which is it's like getting shot several times at once. So you have a shock effect that is very likely to end that threat. Now, the idea of people, first of all, getting scared because of the famous, all you need to do is, yeah, not so much, not really. I mean, some people may get scared by that, some people may not. You just don't know what you're dealing with. You don't know how drunk, how crazy, how high that person is. So relying on a sound to scare people. Now, there is a factor of intimidation. I will not say there's not. I've actually seen it. So people do get scared, and you honestly don't know what it may be. Maybe it's a knife. Maybe you point a gun at someone's face and he gets very scared immediately. Sometimes you point a larger firearm at someone and heck, yeah, that is pretty intimidating too. Is there a correlation between the size of the gun and how it could be? I don't know. That's definitely not something I'm going to be trusting my life on, just scaring someone. So it could be a factor. I'm going to be focusing more on how effective it is. And this is a pretty effective firearm. It's been used over so many years by police departments all over the world. Your Mossberg 500 or your Remington 870, these have been used in war, in trench warfare. It's a damn fine gun and it's very effective. Having said all of that, the reality is that you also need to manipulate the gun. You have to work a mechanism for each round you fire. And that may not be an issue, or it may well be one. There's a chance at least of having some user caused malfunction if you short stroke the shotgun, or it could happen. Personally, if I'm going to be counting on a shotgun for self-defense, I would much rather go with a semi-automatic shotgun. And here is where people, again, that have no clue what they're talking about, they will talk about how unreliable they are. In my experience, even a decently made semi-automatic shotgun will be surprisingly reliable. I'm talking about my Hudson shotgun. This is a Benelli M1. This is a super reliable shotgun. You have 7 rounds in the magazine, and it is as reliable as it gets. It's super lightweight as well. If you've never handled one of these, they're very lightweight too. So that's as close as you can get to a semi-automatic carbine is a semi-automatic shotgun, especially a quality made. And it's still being used by police, military all over the world. The M4, which would be the newer version of your semi-automatic Benelli. I like this one because it's so lightweight and simple. But yeah, Benelli, great choice too. I would much rather go with that over your pump action, even though the pump action has served its purpose over the years well for so many people. But again, I just understand that there's that possibility of, this may not be a problem, or it may well be when you just don't know what cards you will be dealt with that day. But I'd rather go with I'd rather go without the and just know that every time you pull the trigger, you're going to be firing that thing. That, at least for me, is better. And then, of course, your handguns, which is what mostly people end up gravitating towards. And here I will keep it super simple. Just get yourself a Glock, which is extremely proven and reliable, and the most popular gun in law enforcement, military, all over the world in terms of service pistols, for good reason. It has proven itself to be tremendously reliable. Keep in mind that 99% of what you see on YouTube regarding, this new gun, it's mostly creating content. It's mostly financed by marketing of different companies that want to sell you more guns. I have no interest in any of that whatsoever, so that's not what you'll see me do here. And I like all guns. I can talk about any gun all day long, but keeping things real and simple, that's you cannot go wrong with this, right? But I like my Beretta 92. I'm an 80s guy. Okay, sure. Beretta 92 is fantastic. I've had a couple. They're great guns. Not as great as a Glock. That's simply not how it goes. And here the advantage is, no, you're not going to be having the firepower of your AR or the stopping power of your shotgun. You just have something that has 17 rounds plus one in the chamber, and it's super lightweight. It is convenient. It is handy. It is compact. You can keep it in a small safe, or maybe in some other place in your house, depending on what your personal situation is, and you still have your other hand free. And that can be a big advantage, especially if you have kids, if you have to move around people, if you have to turn on lights, open doors. Now, I will also say you can do all of that with your M4, especially if you have a sling and you know how to use it. Yeah, it's not going to be a problem either. But it is a bit of a larger gun. That's super lightweight, by the way. It is surprisingly light, and I like to keep it that way. So you could use it with one hand, even though it's, of course, intended to be used with both. But that's pretty compact as it is. This is even more so. And for the great majority of potential threats that people will be likely facing maybe one day in their homes, this is going to be more than good enough, especially if you know how to use it, which, by the way, I strongly recommend that if you're interested in any of this stuff, get yourself this book, Street Survival Skills, where I cover, this is mostly about self-defense, firearms, home defense, personal defense on the street, and a number of our topics that you really need to know about if you're interested in this, especially if you hadn't had the privilege of taking defensive shooting classes with qualified instructors. I've taken a number of them over the years in different countries. I've learned a bunch of stuff, and I share that with you here. Of course, even better if you apply some of the other things that I try to explain here, by which you will avoid using any of this at all. This is going to be just your last resort. So if you have to use this as a last resort, then the information here will be useful. But if you apply lots of the other things I explained here, you likely will avoid the threat entirely, and that's always the best scenario. Finally, the good old trusty revolver, which some people think it's already a relic. It has no place. I think it does have a place, mostly because why? Is it more rugged? No, it looks that way. Some people think that way because of cowboy movies, but no, it's actually far more rugged. A semi-automatic pistol. It's much more simple too. It is tougher. It will just take a beating a lot more. The internal mechanism of a revolver will always be more complex and more likely to involve small moving parts that, if they end up failing, you will not get that thing running in any short period of time. It usually involves a gunsmith to fix problems with revolvers, while any interruption, well, not any, but most interruptions in a semi-automatic, those are easy and can probably be addressed in a second with simple muscle memory if you have the training. And that's where it basically comes down to. If you are serious about self-defense and you're going to be taking the classes and you're going to be training and practicing with certain regularity until you reach a level of dexterity and knowledge with a gun that allows you to do things almost automatically, yeah, semi-automatic pistol is your best shot all day long. Now, if that's not going to be you and you simply want a tool to defend yourself in a last resort situation, and you're not going to be taking the training beyond a basic safety course, and that's not going to be your thing, maybe a revolver is even better for you because of how simple the manual of arms is. Here, as long as the gun is loaded, pulling the trigger, good chance a round will go downrange. Here, there's things that could happen. You may end up having the empty chamber. If you have some other gun with a safety, you may engage that and not remember that you engaged it. There's numerous videos where we shown here of police officers that in the middle of the fight, they either had an improper grip or were very close to the body or the attacker or something, touched the slide when they were shooting, and it caused them an interruption, and they had to clear that. So there's a number of things that could happen when you're using the gun for self-defense in a very close quarter kind of combat, which with a revolver is far less likely to be an issue. 6 rounds versus 17, that is of course more powerful because that one is a .357 Magnum, but still I think capacity is more important, but the simplicity is the big advantage. Guys, that's basically it. You know, if you can have a couple guns, if you can have a small battery of arms, a rifle, yeah, I would even say you don't even need a shotgun. If you have a good semi-automatic carbine and you have a good pistol, I would probably even throw in a revolver there too, especially if there's someone that is not as skilled in using firearms and hasn't got the experience or the training. The revolver is a great choice. Maybe for a family member that's tagging along with you, or a friend. This is much easier if you're going to be arming someone else. If you're injured, the revolver is always, I think, it's worth having. Guys, that's basically it. If you want to learn more about all this stuff, you have my books, you have the channel. See you on the next video. Take care.